Maybe this is it. No, yes. Okay. So, February 4th is the last day to withdraw without an academic penalty. What does this mean? I don't know. No. You go find out the actual details, but I think what it means, that's what it used to mean at SPSU 3 years ago. So I'm assuming it still means the same. It does appear in your transcript, but it appears with a grade of W. And it doesn't affect your GPA at all. As far as your GPA is concerned, it never happened. As far as other stuff is concerned, who knows? As far as federal aid is concerned and things like that, I have no clue. I think it actually counts as if you had failed, because we get your money, right? We already took your money, we keep it. It's just the grade doesn't affect your GPA. It may affect federal aid. They're at the time new, and I have no clue if they have changed rules about what percentage of credits you should be passing to keep getting federal aid. Does that idea make sense? Yeah. And on that, I have absolutely no clue. So if you're receiving federal aid, you may want to go check that. But February 4th, which is Wednesday, 10 days from today, is the last day to withdraw without academic penalty. After that, I own you. Now, after that, you get a grade, right? Hopefully an A, but regardless, you get a grade. So I was planning to have a midterm on Monday, a week from today. And for you guys, since you are in class, it's easy. You just come, you get pieces of paper, and you write stuff. Online, we'll have discussions and do things. And so that means you take it on Wednesday, I go, get oodles of coffee, and give you grades on Tuesday. It sucks, but it's my fault.
So I guess we'll talk a little bit about midterm.
Yes, in fact, that is the idea. Now, let me mention this and at least put something on your mind, right? You need to consider whether you should drop the class or not, right? Normally, I would say don't and tough it up unless you are struggling in 2 or 3 classes. And so in that case, it may make sense to drop one and ace the other one, as opposed to get C's of both or something like that. Does that make sense? All of you are capable. I am more than happy to work with you whichever way you need to help you learn and ace the class. It does require time commitment, right? It does require, my mental model is about 12 hours, right? That means that you should be putting about 12 hours a week, right? We come to class an hour and a half, right? So you should be putting 10 hours a week outside of this. Do you have the 10 hours, right? And actually, that's kind of a guesstimate, right? What does this mean? For some of you, it may be 2 hours or 4 hours, right? If it's 2 hours, then it sucks and you shouldn't be taking this class. You should have taken a test. But for some of you, it may be 4 or 5 hours, which means that for others of you, it may be 15 hours instead of 10, right? Such is life. And so you get to decide, do I have the 15 hours or do I need those 15 hours for something else, right? Do I need to pass another class? Do I need to have a life? Do I want to stay married? What about my kids? Do I still know them? That kind of stuff. Does that make sense? We can talk more about that stuff if you guys want. Now, let's talk about the exam. And I suck. I actually printed a bunch of copies of this, and promptly left them in my coffee table at home. So, get a piece of paper other than that one. Let's try to write some stuff. And we'll Can I do this? Yes. Yay. We'll probably rotate who comes to answer. How about that? We may skip a couple or something like that. This is just to give you an idea. These are not the exact questions, of course, right? But kind of to give you an idea, the assignments also give you an idea of what kinds of things I may ask. For the most part, I would ask, or I would try to ask, who knows what ends up happening, right? But I would try to ask questions that are easier than the assignments, right? The assignments, you get a computer, you get unlimited times. Well, you get 144 hours to finish them. So this have to be kind of even simpler, or many times based on the assignments or something like that, right? But okay, so let's start. Write Java code to create an integer variable called a and assign it the value 5. Incredibly hard stuff.
Unless you forget the semicolon.
Yes. How could we write that way? How could we write that?
Int a.
Equals 5. That's one way. Can you guys read that? No? How can I change this to make it bigger?
Control plus plus.
No, this stuff doesn't work.
You can full screen. Probably won't make it that much bigger.
No. One of these guys will do it. Preferences. And then I can do font and colors. Don't use this thingy. Make it monospace, but make it like monospace bold. Yeah, can you see that? Or shall I make it bigger?
It's good.
Good? Cool. We could also do it like this. They are completely equivalent. Write Java code to create a Boolean variable called am I smart and assign it the value true. Boolean am I smart equals true. Right? It's basically the exact same question. But you need to remember to do Boolean instead of int. Now we start having fun. Given the following code fragment, what would be the value of and at the end? $34. Is that right? Who says something else? Who gets more? going once, going twice. Yeah, I think it's 34, right? We make a equals 10, then a equals a plus 5, so a is 15. B equals a plus 4, so B is 19. And so ANS equals a plus B, which is 19 plus 15, which is 34. Cool. Given the following function, what would foo of 3, 10, and 15 return? Function is foo takes 3 parameters, number, low, and high, and returns number greater than or equal to low and number greater than or equal to high. I thought that should have been less than or equal, but hey, it's whatever it is, right? So what would this return with 3, 10, and 15, right? Number becomes 3, low becomes 10, high becomes 15, right? Number greater than or equal to low, in that case, 3 greater than or equal to 10. Is that true or false? False, and whatever the heck. False and whatever is false, right? So that would return false. How about number 5? Foo of 15, 12, and 20. What would that return? False. False again, right? In that case, the first thing would be true. Number is greater than or equal to 15 is greater than or equal to 12. But it is not greater than or equal to 20. So that would be false. Now we get to slightly more interesting stuff. And yeah, for the most part, you should be able to trace all of this simple stuff, right? That's incredibly easy. You can do that in your sleep with one hand tied to your back. Yes. Cool. Write a function called isOdd that takes an int and returns a Boolean. The function returns true if the number is odd and false otherwise. We have written this about 7 times, right? So how about we do the next one? Write a function called isLarge that takes an int and returns a Boolean. The function returns true if its argument is larger than 1000, false otherwise. Who's gonna come and do it? You can do it, Leo. Come.
I'd rather watch.
It's a spectator sport.
Yeah, I did it last time.
You did. That is true. Yeah, come. Make a tab. You can do it.
Oh yeah. Are you gonna be graded on the indents from writing?
No, if I can read, and keep in mind that I will ding you for important syntax, right? Like if you forget the parentheses are underneath, that's probably an important syntax, right? And I would take a point off or two or something like that. But I don't have a compiler, right? So chances are that if you forget to close a brace, I won't even notice. It's not that I'm nice, it's just that I don't have a compiler, right? Or if you forget the semicolon, chances are that I wouldn't even know. Which is not that you should forget a semicolon, but if it happens, okay. Yeah, that would be the kind of stuff that I wouldn't. The compiler would bug you, but I wouldn't. False is lowercase.
Oh, is it always lower? I couldn't remember if it was.
You're probably getting confused with all the programming languages.
Yeah, yeah.
Java is true and false all over.
I'm
things.
doing C and
Just like in C. C and C++
Yeah.
and Java.
It's the
are all
same
lowercase.
thing. Oh, okay.
Python uses uppercase.
Okay, that's where I got it from. Yeah.
And I have no clue what other guys use. Depends on. But yeah, that is cool. Other than indentation, this is good.
Is do you call Boolean when you say public static?
Yes.
Or is it bool?
No, that's in C++ it's bool without the en.
Yeah.
In Java it's boolean, right? We can write this easier, right? How could we write it easier? On what?
Return is greater than 1,100 or 1,000.
1,000, yeah. Either way would work, right? Especially on something like test, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Either way works.
So that single line just replaces the entire thing?
Yes. Booleans are expressions, and English, we almost never think of propositions as things true and false, as kind of things that you multiply and add, right? But in programming, we do it all the time. So this would be perfectly nice in programming, probably look weird in English. But does that make sense? You should be able to write these kinds of things. Hopefully, with your eyes closed. And then we get to the fun part, right? I mean, hopefully by now you have done much more complicated stuff so you can do, right, this kind of stuff. Now we start having more fun with recursion and loops and things like that, right? And on those, yes, you need to study and do a million more until. So given the following function, bar int a, if a greater than or equal to 0, return 2, else return a times bar of a minus 1. Given that function, what would bar of minus 1 return? Yes, Lakia. You're Lakia, right? Am I pronouncing your name reasonably okay? Kia? Okay. So you had the answer, right? What is? 2, right? It's a trick question. It can be that simple, right? Now, how about bar of 3? What would that return, right? And we need to trace it, right? And you should hopefully be able to trace it, right? It would come here, so bar of 3 is going to return 3 times bar of 2, right? And then bar of 2 is going to return 2 times bar of 1. And then bar of 1 is going to return 1 times bar of 0. And then bar of 0 is going to return 2, right? So we had 3 times 2 times 1 times 2, right? Which is 12. What function does this look like? Exponent? Slightly. Yeah, it's not. They're not that different, but what was the other one that we saw with recursion? 3 times 2 times 1 is what?
Oh, factorial?
Yeah, this is factorial except with a 2 instead of a 1, right? But you should be able to trace it even if you have never seen this kind of stuff, right?
Is there a way to trace, like you said, trace this by like writing it out, or do you just kind of do it in your head?
Oh, I would normally be writing it out, except that I'm lazy. So you would do things like bar of 3, right, equals 3 times bar of 2. I would write stuff like this: bar of 2 equals 2 times bar of 1. Oops. If I was doing this, I would probably end up writing something like this. Which is kind of what I did, except that I said it. Because I'm too lazy. Because talking is faster than typing. Even the following function, string bas, and by the way, just like with variables, with loop variables is I, j, and k, functions for some ungodly reason are foo, bar, and bas. Don't ask me why. And then I ran out of them and started doing F1 and F2. Function bas returns a string, takes 2 characters, C1 and C2. It initializes ends to the empty string, and then it iterates over characters. It starts with C1, C less than or equals C2 plus C, and it adds that character to the string. Right? And then returns that string. So what would bas of AD return? What would we add? A, B, C, D, right? And you are required to know that in ASCII and any sane encoding, the letters of the alphabet go in the obvious English order. There is nothing that requires that A plus 1 is B, right? But in English it does, and ASCII comes from English, so it works. Doesn't work with uppercase and numbers and things like that, and I'm not requiring you to know uppercase. Right? What's bigger, uppercase or lowercase letters? What's the ASCII number of 0? I actually remember that manure, but you're not supposed to. Eventually, you will learn oodles of useless information. So you should be able to trace these kinds of things, both recursion and loops. And you should be able to do relatively simple functions with both recursion and loops, right? So write a function called print from 2, which takes 2 integers parameters and prints all numbers between its first and second parameters, including both parameters. How would we do that? And you're supposed to put a new line after each number. So does that tell you? Use println instead of print, right? Who's going to volunteer? Travis? Did I get your name right?
Yeah.
Yay, you have volunteered. You have been nominated and volunteered.
Well, I mean, do we use a while loop or a for loop here?
Whichever one you prefer, it's your choice, right? We could do this with recursion, with a while loop, for loop.
That's why I
Whatever.
volunteered for an early question. That's why I volunteered for my first question.
Smart man.
So what do we start out with? Public,
Public static.
static.
What do we return in this function? Nothing. So what do we write?
Void?
Yeah.
Okay.
Parentheses.
Oh, yeah.
And you need to put the parameters. Yeah.
Okay. Two integer parameters.
Yeah. So
So should we call it int1?
you need to start with a letter. So you could call it N1 and N2.
Or just int a?
A and
B.
B. Whatever makes you happy. So we assume that the first parameter is larger than the second, right? So we count down.
So say that again?
We assume that the first parameter is greater than the second.
The first
So
one's
A is
greater?
greater than B in this case.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So while I guess we could do a while loop. While a. Can we do a for loop?
Whichever one you want. Let's do a while, just for fun.
Okay.
Right? We are gonna keep modifying our A, right? So it starts, say A is 10 and B is 5, right? So while A is what?
Less than?
Or actually, it's always gonna be greater, right? So
A is greater than, okay.
While, and then we'll see. Yeah.
So do we have to do this?
Yes. No.
No.
True. But A is greater or equal to B. Right?
Is that right? Bracket
Yeah,
there?
we can at least try to get you there and then we can play.
Okay.
So what do we do? Print the number.
Print all numbers counting down between its first and second parameters.
Do we need a lead? Oh wait, no. Yeah.
And then an A minus one,
Yeah, that would work, reasonably work.
Print line?
Yeah, just send it out. A, we print number A, as Kia said.
A and increment it?
Just print it, print it.
Oh, just
A,
print it.
yeah.
Okay.
And then on a separate line, decrement it, right? Because A is bigger than B, so we need to make it smaller.
So just
Minus A, or A minus minus, or A equals A minus 1, whatever makes you happy.
and that doesn't make a difference whether it's minus minus A or A minus minus? Okay.
There is a subtle difference, but if you're ever using that difference, you're wrong.
Okay.
Don't ever use that difference. You're just going to confuse everybody. In the flip, just close your braces, and that's almost right. And then we can at least analyze and see.
Okay.
I'm closing the other brace. So
Oh, yeah.
now, is this right? Oh, actually, it is right, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go decrement A.
Because we print and then decrement, print and then decrement. Oh, No, what's gonna happen is we're not printing the last one. Yeah, we are, yes.
Because it's equal to, right?
Yes,
A is
yes.
greater than or equal to, so it'll print the last one, right?
Yeah,
We are printing the last one, yeah, so this would work.
but it won't, it'll also decrement it on the last one. We won't print that.
If we don't care, we are not printing it, so who cares? It's a local variable, it's a local copy of this stuff. We don't give a hoot. That works.
Okay. Interesting. I'm sure there's another way to do it.
There is 700 ways to do it. Would anybody want to come do it with a for loop? You know you want to do it. You know you want to do it with a for loop. I can't remember your name.
Ashwin,
Ashwin.
I did it while with the homework. You said use it for.
Yeah. Hey, good practice. If not, yeah, this one works, right?
Damn it, right, and you want to just
Just cut it. How about you cut and paste the line? So we have both. Now, post things somewhere. I'll try at least. We could do it exactly like that, right? Just copy that stuff into a for loop, basically. But normally we would create a new variable, right? Is that okay?
yeah.
Say int I, say I. Thank you. Delete those two characters. Every self-respecting laptop has to have a different keyboard than everybody else. So you can never type on any keyboard other than your laptop. That's kind of standard. Does this make sense? Could we do it with recursion just for fun? We probably did, right? It was one of the assignments or something like that. But what would it look like? How could we do it recursively? We just check, right? If A is less than B, we are done, right? So we just return. Otherwise, print A. And then what do we do? That's a recursive step. Pass. And the same B.
Could you use A minus minus instead of A minus one, or would it?
You could, you would need to be careful. You couldn't use A minus minus. You could use minus minus A.
Okay.
But you're not really changing A, you are creating a new A that you're passing to the function. That's why you shouldn't be doing minus
Yeah,
minus.
that's where you-
And that's why it would be important. If you do A minus minus, the value that you're actually passing is the original value of A. So you wouldn't be going down.
Okay, with minus minus A would be.
Minus minus A would first decrement A and then pass the new value of A.
But that would confuse everyone. So.
That would probably confuse everyone. Yes. Now, what would we need to change if we don't want to print A and B? What would, probably this is the easiest one to see. If we don't want to print A and B, what would we change here? We start on where? A minus 1, and we end and that would do it, right? How about here? What can we change? Actually, let me do this. Here we just start at a minus 1. And we do this. Here, what would we do? We can do this, right? And how do we make it so that we don't print A? Well, we could do that, or we can just cheat.
But we already have that twice.
Sorry?
We have minus 1 say twice.
Yes, we are doing first to decrement A initially and not print A. Then we are doing it inside the loop, and that's actually a bunch of times potentially. Does that make sense? It's written twice, but. Oh, and recursively, it would be nice to not print that stuff. We would really need a wrapper to not pass the A, because recursively we do want to print the A, right? So we would need a wrapper. This would be harder. Nobody tell me that. We need a wrapper, and we would need to change our condition a little bit. But if it's doable, it's just more painful. We really need two functions. The recursive one cannot be the same one. It gets, oh, takes care of 13 and 14. Yeah. Oh, no. Using a while loop, write a function called power that takes two integer parameters, say base and exponent, returns the first parameter, base, raised to the second parameter, exponent, performing repeated multiplication. Now with a loop, now doing recursion. You're going to skip them because we have done them all in class, right? They are probably good practice. You should be able to. Here's the deal. Should you memorize how to write power? No, it's not going to help you much, because chances are that I won't ask you power, right? I mean, it's one of those that I could ask. There aren't that many possibilities, but unless your memory is really, really, really good, right? It's not going to work. What you need to do is to be able to produce these kinds of things, right? And come up with slight variations of these kinds of things, right? You should be able to produce them by thinking, not memorize them and reproduce them. Does that make sense? So now let's try this one. Given the following function, f2 string s card c for int I equals 0, I less than s dot length plus plus I, if s dot char at I equals c, return true. And then after that loop, if we never did that, we return false. Does that make sense? What would f2 of hello and a return? Let me try to do horrible things. So I equals 0, right? So when I equals 0, car out of 0 is going to be what? H. And should we return true? No. I is 1. What's s dot car out of I? Should we return true? No. And we know that s dot length is what? Five, right? So 2 car out of I is L, the first cell, we don't return. Oops. And 3, the other L, we don't. And 4, O, we don't return that. We get out of the loop, and what do we return? Does that make sense? And what would happen if we try F2 of hello and L? And that L is supposed to have quotes, but it doesn't, because somebody sucks. Whoever did that exam sucks. What would happen? When we get here, right? We would return true. Yes.
Does it short circuit? If that does it, just curious. Does the it
Yeah.
stops evaluating once it gets true?
Once you do return, that's it. You're done. If you ever do a return, you're done. You're out of the loop. However many levels of loops you had, whatever you were doing, you get out of there and you're out of the function. So yeah, it short circuits it. So which is why we tend to write it like that on purpose. It doesn't terribly matter, but it short circuits it a little bit, at least, as opposed to having to go through all of them. Mentally post this. Now, another fun function. Given this function, f3 takes a string s, char c, we start a count with 0. We start I with 0, and then while I is less than s dot length, if s dot car at of I equals c, then we increment count, and we always increment I. We could have written this with a for loop, but I didn't want to. It's my exam. What is this really doing? Counting how many times a letter appears, right? So you can solve these kinds of things by tracing or by, oh, this is counting, right? I know what this is doing, it's counting. So what would F3 of hello and L return? 2. How about F3 of hola and E? 0, right? You can, of course, trace. But given this other function is f4 string s char from char2, we have a string and we're calling it accum for accumulator. We initialize it with the empty string. Now we're using a for loop. We start at 0, we go all the way to s dot length, and we have less than, right? Because string starts at 0, so it's from 0 to 3 if you have 4 letters, that kind of stuff, right? And we increment I if s dot char at of I is greater than or equal to from, and s dot char at of I is less than or equal to 2, then accum plus equals that character, right? So, and at the end we return accum. So what would F4 of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and C and G return? C, D, E, F, G, right? Does it make sense why?
Where did you get the D from?
The D?
Yeah. You said C, D, E, F, G.
From here. It's basically checking the characters, right? A, is it between C and G? No, so I don't do anything with it. B, is it between C and G? No. C, is it between C and G? Yes, because we are including, right? We're doing greater than or equal, and less than or equal.
Oh, okay. I got confused. I didn't see that A, B, C, D, E, F, and C, G were the strong character and character.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
You see, you could have done this and have 20 minutes to spare.
What, for the test?
Yes.
Well, you could always do that. Help us out.
You should be able to trace stuff, right? And write kind of simple things with loops or recursion or both. Do you guys have any particular questions? Anything that you want to kind of go over again or something like that in preparation for the test? I will try to find good things in like Coding Bat or something like that to send you more stuff. What's easier, tracing or writing code?
Tracing.
Yes, right? It's normal. Do you need to know how to write code on paper?
Yes.
Well, yes and no. When do you guys think that would be useful, besides in my tests? Yes! You know, everybody is like, oh, these terrible job interviews, right? I come and they ask me to write programs on the board. You are going to have a job interview on Monday, and you're all going to get hired. Isn't that cool? It should be normal, right? I mean, you should be able to write stuff on paper without a compiler. It's not going to compile, right? If you were to type that stuff, you miss the semicolon. That's obvious, right? That's why we have compilers.
But if we stare at it long enough, it might compile.
Exactly. Does that idea make sense? Does that make sense? So you're getting job preparation here. Isn't that cool? You should be able to program with pen and paper, because also you don't always have a computer, and you will see later that many times what you do is you print your program and you go to Starbucks and sit and stare at it and write stuff on pen and paper until it makes sense.
Just more intimidating, I guess.
On the other hand, it doesn't tell you that you missed a semicolon. The paper will take whatever you write, and the paper will believe you. So it's good. And politicians promised by then I would have graded both assignment 4 and any bits and pieces of 2 and 3 that have not been graded.
We won't have an assignment due Sunday, will we?
No, I'm going to be mean with you and don't give you an assignment so that you can prepare for this. If I give you an assignment, that's also preparation for the test, but I think I will not give it as an official assignment. I will just send you stuff to practice, and then you get to practice. If I were you, I would practice on the computer because the computer helps, but also practice on a piece of paper, right? Print some of those things and do them on a piece of paper. It kind of has a different feel to write stuff by hand versus typing. And so just get used. You'll be like, how the heck do I write an ampersand? Nobody can ever write an ampersand. I write something that I recognize as an ampersand, but I think it's not actually the actual ampersand. That character is just weird.
Mine, the top one looks bigger than the bottom. I don't know why.
I don't even know if that's a real ampersand, but
So I'm assuming since this is a paper test, there are no computers involved
No.
whatsoever. Okay.
no computers involved whatsoever. Yeah, no. Oh, reminder, bring a state-issued ID. I have no clue whether you're you. I've never met you before. You could be sending your body double to take the test. I'd make it. It's probably a lot more important online, but I also do it face-to-face. If you think about it, I never met you before. You could have told me that you're Johnny and you're actually Melissa, and I would have no particular way of knowing that stuff. So. Any other questions, comments? No. I give you back 15 minutes of your life. Feel free to ask as many questions as you want, either on D2L or email or something like
What's
that.
the best and fastest way to get in touch with you? I know the texting sometimes it's kind of a hit or a miss.
Everything is hit or miss because I'm a person.
Yeah.
Like, if you text me within working hours, right? I'm not gonna stop my work, right? Chances are, I hate texting because I hate typing on the phone. I can type a lot better there.
Yeah.
So email is probably better. But like, if you text me during working hours, chances are that I won't answer until I get home at night.
Okay.
That kind of stuff. And if you text me at 11, I may not answer until the next day.
I was about to say, I actually got a text from you at midnight. I think it was the other night. I was like, oh, you responded.
Sometimes it works. Sometimes I left my phone, but I tend to check my phone all the time.
So email would probably be best.
Email also gets on my phone. So email or text, both of them work. Actually doing it several different ways if it's urgent usually helps. Because I was like, oh God, yes, I need to answer this guy. Freaking Leo. No,
I got you.
it's
I guess we could post on discussion board.
absolutely, right? For a lot of these questions, especially, right? None of these are assignments or anything like that, right? Post on discussion board and then other people may answer. And you may actually help other people study.
Yeah.
Right? That's yes, by all means, post on this discussion board. And another thing with email, I apologize, but this horrible thing. If you send me email within D2L, I get an email to my Kennesaw email, but then I cannot reply to that email.
Yeah, that's annoying.
'Cause-
That's it.
And so I reply to that freaking email, and okay, I'm done. And then 2 hours later, I come back and like, bounced, and it's not marked in any particular way. So on my email, it looks exactly the same as if you had written to my Kennesaw email.
Yeah.
So what's better, using your Kennesaw just directly into Gmail Kennesaw?
Directly into Gmail works, or the Kennesaw one, rather than D2L. D2L is just annoying because I have to reply within D2L. I cannot reply to the email.
Oh,
They don't have it routed the right way. So if I reply to the email, it just bounces because it sends it to a D2L account, not to your Kennesaw account. Computers. I don't know who creates those horrible programs.
I have some professors who only want D2L emails. They said don't send them personal emails, only D2L.
And different people have different things. Especially, I'm not doing this full time, although I usually log in every day, but it's just easier. I have email. Actually, I don't have email on my phone. I haven't been able to set up Kennesaw email on my phone again. Weird stuff. But I normally have. I check my email a lot more times than this. Any other things? Now, life is good. Let me stop the recording.